Minutes to the gentleman from North Carolina, United States Army veteran, Mr. Etheridge.
The gentleman from North Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentleman for yielding. As a veteran, as you've heard, of the United States Army myself, I strongly support our troops, our veterans, and their families. Let me state at the outset that our troops have done everything that has been asked them to do. They've done it well, exceptionally well, I might say. More than 34,000 from North Carolina have been deployed to Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. And more than 5,000 are currently over there now. More are preparing to go back to the desert once again. I'm tremendously proud of all the troops from North Carolina and across America who have laced up their boots, followed their orders, and done their duty. They are our heroes, and we salute them. Regardless, if one terms the President's announcement change in policy a surge, or an escalation, or an augmentation, the so-called new plan can be summed up in 4 words: more of the same. I myself have traveled to Iraq twice, and after I returned last year, I said the administration should change from this failed policy. Specifically, I said that we need more burden sharing supported from other countries in the community, and more communities and countries in the region, because the whole world has a tremendous stake in a stable Iraq and a peaceful Middle East. This administration's arrogant disregard for our international partners has destroyed U.S. alliances that were decades in the making. Those alliances saw us through the darkest days of the Cold War, when the very existence of our country hung in the balance. Yet this administration tossed them aside like yesterday's news. It is a sad tragedy to witness the forfeiture of America's moral standing in the world and the abandonment of diplomacy as an effective asset for America's interests. We need to bring all the parties to the table and discuss cooperative action to secure Iraq's long-term stability and a peaceful Middle East. Mr. Speaker, I voted to give the President the authority to topple Saddam Hussein's regime in Iraq because he said it presented a grave and gathering threat to America. The President said Saddam Hussein possessed weapons of mass destruction and intended to use them against America. The President said Saddam was in cahoots with Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda terrorists. I took the President of the United States of America at his word. We've learned, to our great regret, what that was worth. Now the President wants to send 21,000 more troops to Baghdad. Republican Senator Arlen Specter called the new deployment a snowball in July. And outgoing commanders of the Central Command with responsibility for Iraq told it last November, and I quote, "I do not believe that more American troops right now is the solution to the problem. I believe the troop levels need to stay about where they are." And the former Republican chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, John Warner, a decorated Marine and former Secretary of the Navy, said last month, "I feel ever strongly that the American GI was not trained, not sent over there, certainly not by resolution of this institution, to be placed in the middle of a fight between Sunni and Shia and the wanton and just incomprehensible killings that's going on at this time." Mr. Speaker, I voted for every defense bill and war funding legislation that Congress has passed for Iraq. I'm very concerned about the state of readiness of our American armed forces. As a representative for Fort Bragg and Pope Air Force Base, I know that Americans' military and our military communities have many unmet needs while the war in Iraq continues to consume more and more public dollars with no end in sight. In conclusion, I rise in support of this resolution with no joy in my heart, but with solid conviction in my soul. The failure of this administration has gone unchecked, and unchallenged by the Congress of the United States for far too long. We need a new direction in Iraq. The question before Congress is this: is more of the same in Iraq an acceptable policy? The answer is no.